Radio 8.
Here it comes!
Hey, run that thing up.
Radio 8.
Welcome back to another episode of the Grade A Wrestling Podcast. I'm with my guy Ty. How you doing today, man?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. We got a lot to talk about. We had a great Wrestlemania weekend. We already got someone in the comments. Fernando, what up? Appreciate you showing up again as usual. Mania weekend was kind of up and down for me. We're gonna get right.
I agree.
But before we get into that, we're gonna talk about NXT Stand and Deliver. And if you're watching, make sure you like subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this past weekend's PLEs with Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Night 1 and 2, and even what are your thoughts on Raw after Mania. So first things first, we're gonna get into Stand and Deliver. We had the Meta Girls, Fatal Influence, Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley, Perez, and Jay Cargill, Roxanne Perez, that is. Elimination tag team match to be the number one contender for the women's tag titles. We end up with Gigi Dolan, Tatum Paxley winning that match. But what was your thoughts on the match to start off the show?
Well, I see why I was on the pre-show. That's pretty much... I'm pretty much everything I want to talk about from this. We'll most likely talk about when we recap NXT in a little. So I think overall it was an okay match. It was a couple questionable stuff, moments that happened, but overall, it was okay. I think it should have been on just a regular Tuesday NXT, but that was just my thoughts.
Yeah, I thought the match was solid to Fernando's point. You can definitely tell they rushed a lot of spots, which is why I had a few botches in the match, considering they didn't have enough time. I believe they gave them an extra 5 minutes, maybe even 10, depending on how the show was going to be constructed. They would have put on an even more solid match without the botches. But given the time frame, I thought it was solid. I'm not mad with the decision who won. I think that's a good way to kind of build them up as a tag team. They're kind of the unorthodox tag team, that being Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. And once we get to NXT last night, it seems like one of the tag teams in this match is going to be breaking up shortly, or at least that's what they're trying to brew. And then you had another tag team with Roxanne and Jade is kind of confusing considering what we happened on Monday Night Raw as well. So all in all, I'm not mad at the decision on who won the match. I believe it wasn't going to be Tatum and Gigi. It should have been Lash and Jakara Jackson, which I hopefully would like to see them get moved up to the main roster at this point because they're not doing nothing with them or Meta 4 in general on the NXT brand. So all in all, solid match. The next match, the opener for the show, we had Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page for the North American Championship. We had our guy Ricky Saints retain in a very, very good match. I'll let you give your thoughts on the match as the opener.
I thought it was both of their best match since joining. I think that's been Ethan Page's best match since joining. And I think that was Ricky's best match since joining. Pretty much they're going somewhere with Ricky. Um, I expect them to hold that title for a while, longer than a lot of people probably would expect. Um, I think he. I know a lot of people probably don't like it, but I think he right now is probably the future of NXT. Um, because when you have people like Trick, Oba that's getting called up, you need somebody to carry that pretty much that division. And I think they're gonna skyrocket Ricky. Um, Ethan Page on the other hand, I don't know what else he does in NXT right now. I feel like he's one of those that might be lost in the shuffle. Probably they should call him up just due to the lack of things he can do at NXT. They can always run him back and do a deeper feud between these two.
Mhm.
But I think the way HBK's booking right now, it's, it's very kind of similar to Hunter's, kind of long term. And I think long term benefits Ricky, but it doesn't benefit Ethan Page. Yeah. But overall, I think it was a great match to kick off the show. Um, and yeah, I mean it was pretty much better than their AEW matchup. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I will say this. The match was started off really stiff, which I enjoyed because typically WWE kind of shies away from stiff matches to start off the show. But these two have past history, as you just mentioned, from AEW and times outside of AEW. Because I seen something on Twitter where they wanted them to recreate a spot where, let's just say, Ricky's trunks was down. I'm like, yeah, let's not recreate that, please. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Sean probably would have loved that in the 90s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But nonetheless, it kind of gave the other young and up and coming stars watching, waiting for their chance to come up, to kind of see the do's and don'ts when they get their time to shine in these big PLEs for NXT. Great way to start the opener. I love that the North American title is the workhorse title on NXT. It's kind of like the launching pad for you to become the next guy, depending on who gets it, because Oba is one example of that. But then you had someone like Ethan Page who went backwards in a sense. But all in all, back to your main point, I would love to see Ethan Page get called up to the main roster. My only problem with that is the same problem you believe he has now in NXT, and that is him getting lost in the shuffle. I believe he might get lost in the shuffle, whether he's on Raw or SmackDown. Particularly SmackDown, for some reason, they always get people lost in the shuffle when it comes to the mid card, because he'll be great for the United States title picture currently on SmackDown. I just don't see them doing anything much with him after the first month or so, especially considering you got Rey Fenix, you have Santos now, who they're gonna probably get a feud going soon. You still have Melo there. You have Jacob, who's not losing that belt anytime soon, unless they're gonna have him feud against Solo, which I don't see that happening right now, considering Tama Tonga might be out for a little bit of time, depending if he needs surgery or not for his injury. So I don't see where he fits in, because I don't see them putting him in the main title picture right away. And also, not to mention, this Friday we have the reveal of Aleister Black. So I would love for him to be on the main roster on SmackDown, particularly given what the roster is now before the draft. But it's just kind of tough for me to gauge where he will fit in. But back to the main point, the match was a very, very great opener for Stand and Deliver. Next match, probably my favorite match of the night outside of the main event. That is the Tag Team Championship match. Fraxium versus Hank and Tank. Hank and Tank are the new NXT Tag Champions. They defeated Fraxium in a very, very great contest. Great for them to have the young guys get their moment. Fraxium was a great, great tag team, the best tag team in my opinion on either brand for the last year or so. So for them to put over Hank and Tank to kind of establish them as the next tag team in the NXT was very great to see. And hopefully they get called up desperately to Raw or SmackDown.
Oh, they're getting called up. They should already be called up. Because in my personal opinion, uh, I feel you don't make them drop the belts if they're not getting called up. Because although I did like the match, and we talked about Hank and Tank last episode, I felt they could have built it up way more. But I'm not going to complain because based off the shock value, because I didn't think they was going to take those belts off.
Yeah, me neither.
So based off the shock value, I'll give them a pass. But I just want to let everyone know it's going to put a lot of pressure on Hank and Tank because you're taking the best tag team out of the division. And there's not a lot of tag teams in that division to begin with, and they're the champs. So they're going to have to carry this division pretty much.
Do you feel like they're in a Gunther situation where they can put on the great matches, but they don't have a legit team to feud to kind of up the ante, so to speak? Because I feel like from the matches I watched Hank and Tank put on since I first got familiar with them at NXT, they put on at least some good, solid matches. They're physical. They can high fly. They got good moments. They got a great feel for the crowd. And that's very rare for a team at a young age like themselves. And to see them go toe-to-toe with Fraxium on the biggest stage and get put over, I love what I see from them. You know how I feel personally. I wish it was No Quarters Catch Crew, Tavion Heights, and Miles Bourne. That then, because I've said it before in the private chat, I think when everything when the rubber meets the road, I believe Tavion Heights will be a future world champion. He has that it factor. And when it comes to in-ring ability, now it has to just come together with the promos and things like that. But I'm not mad at Hank and Tank winning the belts. I think Dumb and No Quarters Catch Crew can be a perfect tag team to start off a good feud later down the line, not too early. And to your point, another tag team I was thinking about, it's the one that Mike loved a lot, and it's the one with Wes Lee that he's been teaming up with. I can see them getting some more TV time, potentially giving them a shot. So
yeah, they have tag teams. You know, I'm not gonna say they don't have tag teams,
right.
But the problem is not all of them are established, and Hank and Tank themselves ain't as established right now. So it kind of puts them in that. I won't compare it to Gunther because Gunther pretty much had to do with the whole scene itself, the main event scene on Raw. Like that wasn't his fault, you know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much where you're gonna have to you're gonna see them defend the belts against you pretty much how people want to call nobodies. But how do you sell people to tune into that match? Because we're most likely gonna see them versus the tag team in the new faction. I'm blinking on their name.
Dark State?
Yeah, on Dark State. We're most likely going to get that. But, you know, you say it right now, Hank and Tank versus Dark State, you're going to be like, eh.
Yeah.
Like anything.
And that's depending on who they put in the tag match.
Any match Fraxium had, anyone was tuning in. So I feel like it puts them in that tough situation. You pretty much got to carry to what Fraxium did. Fraxium was selling a match with the Hardys. You know, you
Very
put any
true.
of these teams versus the Hardys right now, no one's watching that. But that Fraxium Hardys, everyone was like, oh, hold on. You know, so.
I will say one tag team that hasn't been on TV for, I don't know if the situation regarding health or there's nothing creative for them. And I'm higher on them than others, obviously, but that's because I watched their work in NXT UK. And that's Gallus. Like, I love Gallus. Wolfgang, Mark, and Joe Coffey. Again, I might be the only one on the island with that as of now since they got to NXT, but I just feel like if they can get them some creative to actually sink their teeth in, which they have in the past, but I just feel like if they can like fully get them off the leash, so to speak, I think they can do some good, solid work. Again, with the new AAA signing and with Worlds Collide coming up in June, that could be a showcase to get some of the a tag team from AAA versus Hank and Tank if they have the belts around June. So that'll be something to do as well. Hank and Tank can pretty much wrestle with anyone, so to speak, considering their wrestling style. But to your point, I don't think most people, unless they're familiar with the NXT product, is going to sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm excited to see the Hardys versus Hank and Tank."
Yeah.
Someone like us, ourselves, who watch the product, will be more intrigued to watch it because we're familiar with Hank and Tank. But people that just don't really watch NXT, they're not going to want to sit there and watch that. To your point. Moving right along, we have the Women's North American Championship ladder match. We have Sol Ruka, Zarya, Thea Hale, Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, and Lola Vice. I feel like I got everyone. Yes. This match was okay. Had some good spots. Sol Ruka looked phenomenal in this match towards the end. She is now a double champion since they talk about and consider the Speed Championship. But I don't. That's a bootleg version of Velocity and Heat. But all in all, yeah, I'm showing my age. For those who don't know what Velocity and Heat is, so I'm showing my age. It's okay. Nonetheless, man, what was your thoughts on the ladder match?
Yeah, I thought it was a great ladder match. I thought it was good, pretty much for the women's division, because I told you there didn't need to be a double champion in NXT, especially because the amount of women they just have, you can pretty much separate it into, you know, you never want to specifically point people and group them out, but pretty much they can split it up into a main card division and a mid card division with the amount of women they have on NXT. And I thought it was a fantastic match. I think everyone in there got pretty much a good enough time to shine and show what they can do. And I thought it was perfect. I know I hated Stephanie, you know,
The way she dropped,
dropping the belt. But in this case, I liked it because me, our age, we love ladder matches. Anything with a ladder match,
I'm
you
sold.
got me. You got me, But a part of me feels like I feel like Sol Ruka could have developed more, actually pinning somebody for the title. But overall, she looked pretty much like one of the best in the match. So
it fits right up her alley, given her athletic ability. So
so it pretty much the match was revolving around her, and it was created for her. And I thought it was a good match.
Yes, I agree. My obviously some of my favorite spots of the match was towards the end when she did the Soul Snatcher, which I think is one of the most beautiful and catchy names in the business right now, especially given her character. I thought the match was really good. It had some bright spots. Was it the best ladder match I have seen? No. But given the spot it was in on the card, it was a perfect way to kind of give you a little bit of a cool down in the beginning of the match, and then it picked up towards the middle and the end. I wish it was another woman involved. I would love to see more Fatal Influence. We have 3 people in this faction. I would love to see Fallon Henley in this match, although I think she was in the tag match. I don't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, Jasmine Nix is another one I would love to see in this match. But all in all, for those who's in the match, great job. Solid match. I love that Thea Hale got into this match. Great to see her back on TV. But as far as her and Sol Ruka goes, and Kaylani Jordan to a certain extent, the reason why I'm okay with them staying in NXT so far and a little longer is the characters to me just feel very green. Like very, very green.
Yep.
And I'm not mad with Sol winning the match, Hopefully, this gives her some more character development because I want to really root for her, but it's challenging because I don't know who is Sol Ruka, who is Kehlani Jordan, who is Thea Hale. You don't have to ask that when you ask about Julia, Stephanie Valkyrie, Roxanne Perez. Hell, to a certain extent, Cora Jade. So I think they have a lot more work to do in that sense. I love watching them wrestle, but again, for me to fully invest in them, I need to see a little bit more for the character work. But this also sets up, because I believe her and Zara is going to feud for that title. Because Zara does not even need to be in a tag team. I think they just put them together to kind of buy time.
Yeah,
Zara could be that badass heel that just destroys everyone. And I'm waiting for that this year. I think this is going to be her year. I think she might even headline Stand and Deliver before her time is up, assuming she's there till next April. But yeah, all in all, that was my thoughts on the match. Next, we have the D'Angelo family versus Dark State. This was an interesting match. The brawl was really good. Dark State wins. My biggest moment of the match, and obviously the one that we're all going to talk about, which we've seen coming if you've been watching NXT, Stacks turning his back on the family. But what was your thoughts on the match, all in all?
I think overall, I feel like, I don't know. I question myself why hasn't Tony D'Angelo and the family have been called up? I feel like they've been in NXT for the longest.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that character can get over on the main roster. And NXT, it got over, then it pretty much
ran its course.
But I wonder what they're gonna do. They're probably not gonna call Tony at least up yet, and the rest of the family till the whole Stacks thing pays off. I think you'll probably see Stacks go over on Tony, and probably like a loser leaves NXT match. But overall, it was your typical let's make this new fraction look good pretty much match.
Something that the main roster doesn't do. So I appreciate that.
So it was good for Dark State. I would say overall Dark State too green right now.
You think? I just
they need to
I can't get behind them.
Like even the Nexus wasn't this green. Like they had green people. Like a lot of people were green.
Mm-hmm.
But nah, I feel like top to bottom, I think they have to. I don't know. I think the only thing that saves them is getting a leader. Pretty much a leader that is already developed as a veteran, pretty much.
Jeff Cobb will be nice. He don't need to be in this, but
he don't need to be in it, and he low-key don't even need to be in NXT.
He don't.
So,
but they need some. If they're gonna have someone that's legit, he's someone that comes to mind. I wouldn't even put Helico in this because he doesn't need to be there either.
Yeah, I mean they're too green. They need to. I would probably just start off. I probably would just start off with just tag team matches for right now. I think the whole group thing is gonna ruin them too fast. Yes. Exactly what Fernando says. It keeps giving me that Retribution vibe. But the only difference was I like Mustafa Ali.
I was about to say, you and Fernando being too nice. I don't even see Retribution. I just see the fuck is this? Like I'm not like sold on them yet. Fernando thinks the ladder match was match of the night. I would lean towards the main event, and why am I going to blink on the names? Oh, Saints and Page. But I'm not mad at that either. I will say I'm not fully invested in Dark State to your point, Ty, but I am invested in some of the characters within the group. Like
Yeah, they
Saquon,
got potential.
Is my favorite. I think he has the biggest potential because he's the best on the mic. And if you could talk, you can go far in this business. Because even if you're kind of green in the ring, if you know how to talk and sell a promo, they'll give you more TV time.
Yeah, they'll put you on the show.
So and he's the one that stands up the most to me is Saquon. Outside of that, I mean, Deion Lennox, he's okay. Cutler James, he's probably the best in-ring worker. Although I think Deion's the most athletic out of the group. And then you have Osiris. He's just muscle. And that's not a bad thing, but his ring attire and stuff, if he's gonna be my muscle, I need him to look more badass. Like the wrestling tights, the hairy chest. It's not selling me. Like, I need you to go out there if you're gonna be a bootleg Retribution or Shield, like Fernando said, they didn't put the black cargos on, put on some boots, and just beat people's ass. That's what I want to see from Osiris. But all in all, I'm critiquing them pretty heavy, but at the end of the day, I'm still pushing back because they are green, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. This is what I'm noticing so far. I didn't have a great future, all in all. But some more comments for Fernando. Stacks Lorenzo is the leader in my opinion. Yes. To Ty's point, I believe they have a potential loser leads NXT match. But I think they should, if they don't go a traditional in-ring match, they should do the parking lot brawl, kind of how they did. I forgot who Tony fought in the past because he's been in NXT for so long, but they had like the cars parked around. Yeah, you know what I'm going at with Ty.
Yeah,
I
I know
forgot who the
exactly what
program
you're
was with.
talking about.
But they should do it that way and kind of have Riz turn on Stack. I mean, not turn on Stacks, turn on D'Angelo too at some point. Fernando, another comment. That'll be, as you guys know, the being good on the mic is very important. Yes, absolutely. If you don't know that, watch the Iron Claw. Even though some of that stuff is fictional, but yes, I believe it wasn't Kerry or Kevin. It was the other brother that passed away first. He was probably the biggest out of the Von Erichs, but he was the best on the mic. And they was pushing him before they was pushing Kerry and Kevin. So that I always think about that as an example back in the 80s and 70s. Like, if you're good on the mic and you can sell a match and a promo and you can put asses in the seats, they're gonna keep putting you on TV. So now moving right along, going to kind of speed through the standard delivery because we got WrestleMania to talk about. I know, Ty, I know you got to head out soon before we get ready for the football show because we got a double header for you guys today. We're going to get into the women's fatal four-way match. You had Stephanie Valkyrie, Julia, Jordan Grace, and Jada Parker. This match was great. Valkyrie retains the belt. I'll let you go off, Ty. What was your thoughts on this match?
They met my expectations. I thought it was going to be a good match before it started. Ended up being a good match. I was surprised about Stephanie retaining. Because my personal opinion, you had her drop the North American belt, then you put her in a fatal four-way match. I'm assuming she's losing the belt without getting pinned, but apparently not. So she is still the NXT Women's Champion. I would say for Julia, Grace, and Valkyrie, they don't need to be in NXT right now. They are like, I know the women on the main roster ain't getting booked right now, but these, you can start pretty much a repeat of when, Charlotte, Becky all got to the main roster at the same time. This is what you can do.
I hear you.
with these girls. Pretty much they're day one, and pretty much saw it this past Monday when we had Stephanie versus Io Sky. They got big plans for Stephanie, and I'm just shocked they let her keep the belt for this long, pretty much, because I thought that would have been her debut on
I
Raw.
believe they're gonna hold off on her to like summer, maybe after SummerSlam or end of the summer, to kind of bring her up. I don't disagree with your overall point. However, my pushback would be, my thought process behind it will be, maybe, because yeah, I agree. Stephanie, Jordan Grace, Julia, they don't need to be in NXT. However, the Jada Parkers of the world, who I believe at some point is going to get their just due, I hope, before she gets moved up, they're going to need someone credible to beat to kind of put them over, if that makes sense. Kind of like how Hank and Take was able to get put over with Fraxium. So I think Stephanie stays. I think you might get one more match with Julia before she officially gets to the main roster after her showing with Roxanne Perez on Raw this past Monday. I believe you get that one more match, and then once Stephanie drops the belt, you drop it to Jada Parker. Unless, because from now and then, for how long they feel like Stephanie's going to hold that championship, someone else can come out to the woodworks and take over and take that spot. So back to the Fatal 4-Way. I think it was a great match. Each superstar got off the key moments. Jordan Grace is kind of like just floating in the wind, if that makes sense, kind of in the shuffle a little bit, which is why, to your point, I think she needs to be on the main roster. Because honestly, she could have been on Mania. She could have easily been on Mania instead of Becky. But storylines and how it makes sense. So I'm not mad at Becky being back on TV, although on the cost of Bayley, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I don't know. But all in all, a great match. I can't wait to see Jada Parker get her just due, as I just said it a few minutes ago. But Fernando had a comment. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ty, because I disagree. But Fernando said Stephanie Valkyrie is pound for pound the best woman wrestler in WWE. She is better than all the women who were in the World Championship matches at Mania.
Maybe the SmackDown match, but not the Raw match, because the Raw match, we got to put some
She's better than
respect.
Bianca.
That's what I'm saying. The Raw match, I don't think she's better than Io, Bianca, or Rhea as of now.
I can make the argument Io is probably the pound for pound best. I could make the argument. I don't think she is, but my number one would probably be Bianca. Most people probably go Rhea, but I will comfortably go with Bianca.
I agree to his point, because right now I'm more interested in Stephanie Valkyrie than I am Tiffany Stratton, than I am to see what Charlotte has to do next. I understand that. But I wouldn't go as far as say she's the best right now, because we see how people do good in NXT, then they get to the main roster, then things change. So
yeah. Real quick, I got a quick rant. I just thought about it. Because you just brought up Stratton's name, so it made me think about this draft. WWE, what the hell we doing, my boy? You gave him the Andre the Giant Memorial win, but everybody else in this draft class got Mania matches. I love Lara Valkyria. Her character's green, a lot more green than his. Stratton, she's the next Charlotte, so we already knew that was gonna be whatever. And Braun, I'm not mad at Braun. Braun is Braun. In fact, Braun and Melo should have been the Cena Orton, Cena Batista, Brock, whoever you want to put there. Those are the two guys. Now, I'm not gonna be biased. I do understand Carmelo Hayes lacks in some areas. Kind of like the character work. We know who Braun is. He's the badass. He's gonna go out there, wreck house, and leave. Melo, he's a great in-ring worker. He needs to get better on the mic. He has gotten a little better since he's arrived on SmackDown. But his character, so I can understand that point. But I mean, you're still putting titles on people that was much more greener than him in his class, like a Lyra Valkyria, like a Stratton, which is why they had her slowly build up with the whole Money in the Bank. So I just need my boy to get his just due. I don't agree with this comment, but I understand why you say he's a bust, considering how he's being booked. I mean, he has been getting in the ring with some of the best in the business. I mean, his first match was with Cody. So he had the great 7-match series with Andrade. So I can see that point of view, Fernando. I believe he might even fight Aleister Black come Friday at some point, if not this week. So I love it. I kind of love what they're doing with him in The Miz. So hopefully that goes somewhere. I mean, I wouldn't be mad to see him get a little small tag team title run. At least get something out of it. But Carmelo needs his just due. But I'm done with my rant. We can get back to the Stand and Deliver.
I was about to say, actually, I disagree. I don't think he should be with The Miz. Because if Braun Breaker can get Paul Heyman,
that's fair.
Why is Melo getting The Miz? And to Fernando's point, yes, you can say he's been a bust because he was the number 1 draft pick. First round draft pick. Come on, man.
But I mean, see,
I know.
We're gonna go this football and basketball right with this bust term.
Yes, I understand.
He's been putting in work. He's been good.
But you know, he didn't have a first round year.
I mean, okay, your first match is against the WWE champion.
Yes, they started off good, having
the Andrade series was in fire though.
In the Andrade, but what did they do after that? Just put him with Miz.
I mean, I hear you. I don't disagree with you guys, but is it more on the creative side or is it really Melo's fault?
No, it's not Melo's fault.
Okay.
I'm just
then saying, we can agree on that.
I'm just saying you can call him a bust based off he was a first round pick.
All right, I can agree with that because he's from the city, so I gotta show love. But okay, that well the state. Let me say he ain't from the city, he's from the state. Let me clarify that because John Cena's from the state, but he ain't from the city either. So let me clarify that before I get people in the comments like he not from. I ain't gonna put the cities out there. I want people knowing exactly where we are. If you know, you know. But nonetheless, we're gonna move right along. Let's get to the main event, which I think was the match of the night. Obviously, the match of the weekends were all triple threat matches. Ironically, they're trying to put dirt on my triple threat matches name, which is WrestleMania 20. But Oba Femi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans in the main event. Oba retains in a great triple threat match. If you want a great match for Oba and you don't have no creative ideas, throw him in a triple threat match. He hasn't put on a bad triple threat match since he's been on NXT. But I'll let you go away with this one, Ty. What was your thoughts on the main event?
Nah, you pretty much said what I was gonna say. I was gonna sit here and be like, yo, how many more? I was like, yo, everyone wants Oba to be called up, but no one realized that NXT got like 200 more possibilities of more triple threat matches they could do with him. And they're just not missing on any. But there's going to be that one triple threat. I think that's when he loses the belt. I don't think he needs to get pinned. I understand it would be a good rub for somebody in NXT, but this guy is a monster.
There's one guy, I believe, and you mentioned, we talked about it earlier. The one guy I can see pinning him and it won't hurt him, and it'll actually uplift the other guy. And that's to your point, what you mentioned earlier, Ricky Saints. If he's going to be the next guy,
I don't know.
Because I don't think that because Oba's not getting moved up until next year. If I'm being honest, he's not. He's going to be running in NXT for most of this year. If they call him up before the next Stand and Deliver, it'll probably be the end of this calendar year. But I would love to see him put over Ricky Saints if Ricky's down there that long. Because again, from now until the end of the calendar year, releases, signings, a bunch of things could happen, injuries, so we never know. Assuming things is what we believe it's going to be. But yeah, I think Oba is great. He's phenomenal. His in-ring work is spectacular. His promos is really good, especially for him to do that voice the way he does consistently without going back to his normal voice is very impressive. But yeah, I love everything about it. Javon Evans could be another guy. I could see them having him beat Oba.
Yeah,
to
that
put him
was
over.
who I was thinking of. more
Javon will be a
so.
nice addition. It's time for Trick to move up. To be honest, since you already got Trick as giving these heel like characteristics, put him on the main roster and put him and Melo back together as heels. They were
Yep.
money as heels.
Have them beat up the Miz.
There you have it. And then they can even run the tag division, especially how they've been booking that tag division over there. Obviously, you don't rush them in because you got Street Profits and everyone else, which we're going to talk about them in just a moment once we get to Friday's predictions. But yeah, that's something that I would look at doing down the line. All right, time to get into the nitty gritty. WrestleMania Night 1, which I believe was the better night. I'm probably gonna stand on that by myself, but that's okay. Let's get right into it. Night 1, we had, let's see, the opening match. We had Jey Uso and Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. Jey Uso is now the new champion. In a solid match against Gunther, he made Gunther tap out, which I think was very poetic, considering if you've been watching their story throughout. But Ty, I'll let you give off your thoughts on the match.
I was shocked. They had him tap out the Jey Uso. I didn't think they was gonna do that. But it was an okay match. It was pretty much like I said. If they was going on first, pretty much they want to get this out the way. So they pretty much was like, go do something. Then Jay's winning the belt. Pretty much. That's what it felt like. Because I felt like I blinked. Then that's when I saw him power bomb Gunther, do everything, super kick. Then that's why I was like, yo, dang. We obviously seen what's next for Gunther, it seems like. With whole Pat McAfee. But with Jay, this is, like I said, this becomes the toughest part because the entrance is there, the crowd is there, but can he hold it? You know, it seems like he doesn't even need to cut a promo because the fans are gonna keep saying yeet, 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 and he could just ride with that. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I think I agree with Fernando low-key. I think they should have just had him pin Gunther. But like you said, the story was there. I just watched you just almost murder my whole brother. Like,
He just popped up like nothing happened. Like, hey,
yeah, like, I'm
what
gonna
up,
choke
Oos?
you out. So like, I understand. But overall, it was
At least gave him a
okay.
bandage over on his head or something. Show like he was covering a wound or something, but still. Real quick, the reason why, because remember we was talking about this as a live reaction. I disagree with the submission at first as well, but me being me, I did some digging, and it made sense for the storyline because Gunther made Jay tap. He also choked out Jimmy before just beating him to a pulp. And then if you look at it, outside of the Sammy match last year at Mania at 40, when Gunther tells these stories, he often loses. If he tells these stories and loses, he often loses in submission.
Yep.
A la with him and Dragunov, which I can't wait for Dragunov to come back. Like I can't wait for that, but I'm not gonna get sidetracked. When Dragunov made him tap, and I looked at the storyline, okay, this makes sense. It's a recurring thing. Now, I would have loved to see Gunther and Jay go a little longer in the ring to kind of set up the submission. I feel like it was rushed. And Gunther taps out pretty quickly when he gets into those submissions because he did the same with Dragunov, as I mentioned. But to your point, I think the match was okay. It was solid. Most people will give it an A for opening match considering the hype around Jay. But yeah, I just think Gunther did his best work for that build-up. And I'm happy that Gunther was able to get his recognition and Jay got his moment that he rightfully deserved. I believe he has a Damian Priest-like run. I was saying Gunther would get it back soon, but considering what we saw on Monday night and the end of night one, which we're going to get to in a few, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I think Gunther might go to SmackDown, if I'm being honest. And I'm going to not be mad at that because he can be the one to finally put the old dog to bed, and that's John Cena at the end of the calendar year, if it's not Cody. But yeah, great match. I still think Jay is not better than Jimmy, but that's just me. Now the real work begins for Jay because, okay, the chase is over. You got the belt. But like you said, Ty, can he sustain it? Can he actually put on a promo where he can have people invested in the match? He's shown flashes of it with Gunther, but can he put on in-ring quality matches consistently? Because let's not forget, we seen what happened at WrestleMania 40. The worst match of the weekend. So you're the main guy. You can't afford to have those duds as the main guy. And you will be critiqued as the main guy. So all these Uso and Yeet fans, keep the same energy because he got the belt now. But now you got to hold him to that standard. Don't lower the standard because you just like him. Nah. Hold him to the same standard you was holding Gunther to, even though Gunther's issue was creative, not the ring ability. So that's all I got for that match. The next match, we won't spend too much time on this. War Raiders versus the New Day. New Day get their 13th, I believe, or 14th title run. This was a bathroom break match, to say the least. It sucks because, like I said, when we did the predictions, if they just had them get a proper build-up and then rush this, maybe people would have cared more about it. But everyone else wanted to see Street Profits in this spot. So it sucks because the Road Raiders are great. The New Day is great, despite them taking so long to give them something good to sink their teeth in since they turned on Big E. But hopefully they do something with them now. But I'm not going to hold my breath considering it's the Raw tag team division. Fernando said, I was a little disappointed with no Big E. I was too, but I wasn't surprised given how serious the neck injury is.
Yeah, but he could have,
they probably going to save
his
that.
face. He was there.
Yeah, who knows? He might show up on, depending if they have an actual storyline for Raw's tag team division, he might pop up in the SummerSlam because, I think this is the year. You can correct me if I'm wrong. If you know, same for Fernando since he's watching. I believe this is the year where they have SummerSlam 2 nights.
Yes.
Yeah. So if they build a proper story for the Raw tag division and they held the belts to this long, because I will assume they should and will, Big E could pop up right there. He ain't even got to do much. Just cost him the match as an eye for an eye. So, but yeah, what's your thoughts on this match? We can move right along.
We can move right along. I ain't got nothing to say. New Day won. Cool.
Okay, so the next match, one of my favorite matches of the night one, which I'm happy it turned out the way it did because it got time. Naomi and Jade Cargill. This was a really, really good match. I love the spot that Jade had at the end with the twist and the powerbomb. My only critique of this match, and it's not a big one, is I wish Naomi won the match. Hell, you had Rey Fenix lose his first match, even though this is not Jade's first Mania match. But I really wish Naomi won because I said it last week, Ty. Stop putting these heels, stop turning these face into heels and have them lose their first big match. It defeats the purpose. They have to win the first match at least. or they lose all credibility. And I get it, Jade's a beast. And she's supposed to put that badass powerhouse persona out there, so it doesn't make Naomi look too bad losing. But imagine how much momentum you give Naomi if she beats someone of the caliber of Jade. Like, so that's just my thought on that. But I'll let you go ahead, Ty.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. We pretty much said it before, even for the predictions video, that Naomi technically needed to go over because you need a reason to care. Now, here's the thing. So I'm assuming they eventually want to do a Bianca Jade thing, but I don't think Naomi's done with Jade. So then we're gonna probably see another match. Then what? Does Jade beat her again in the feud? Because then I don't care about Naomi turning. Or does Naomi win that second match? Then they have a third match. That's a gimmick match, which prolongs the story. So eventually, maybe Bianca could hold a title by then. So you can tell the Bianca Jade story. But I thought personally, Naomi should have won, but I understand why she didn't, because if Bianca was not coming after Mania as champion, and it looks like she's not going to be champion for a while, then I don't think it makes sense to pull the trigger on the bigger storyline they're trying to tell. Well, all three.
Yes. Real quick, could you say something that I was actually going to get towards? If they have a second match, I probably think they'll have Naomi lose. However, if there was to have Naomi win, they can have Naomi win with the accidental help of Bianca. Because now that Bianca is back to SmackDown because she's not drafted on Raw, so she doesn't need to be there after Mania right now. This is where you can kind of add her into the fold. Where now, Bianca, explain yourself. Naomi wanted answers last week. She didn't get them. Where the hell were you? I've been there for you, but you haven't been there for me. Naomi, and then you have Jay with the whole story, telling the story of, I mean, you were tag champions first. You taking her side now, so now you got her in the middle. Bianca's been great with that cinema, so I'd love to see them take that angle for the next month or two. But yeah, that's all I got for this. We gotta speed through these. Next match, my match of the night, personally, although it's because it's obvious that the main event was the best match, but my favorite match, the United States Championship, LA Knight versus my dog, Jacob Fatu. My boy LA Knight did not get squashed, so I love it. I'm glad he looked great in the loss, but all gas, no brakes. Yada that mean? My dog Fatu is a champion on the main roster. What was your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I'll keep it quick. LA Knight, feel like he's always putting these bangers on. Low key, the feuds and everything that happens on SmackDown or Raw is never there. But on pay-per-views, if LA Knight's on the card, he's gonna put that work in. I'm happy for Fatu because this is just the start. And I think he's going to make the U.S. title so over. It's going to be crazy because it's been a while. And no disrespect to Mr. LA Knight, but it's been a while since we had a United States champion that really sits there and you want to be like, yeah, I'm watching everything he does. Because sometimes they don't even book the U.S. champion.
Yeah.
But I tell you, they will book him every single week now.
He's gonna be there every week. He gonna be the workhorse champion on that show.
But overall, I thought it was a good match. Probably, yeah, one of my favorites of the night.
I think it was one of the best matches of the weekend, personally.
Yeah, if we're going based off the weekend, yeah. It's definitely in my top 5 matches of the weekend.
Next, we won't spend much time on. You have Ray Finks versus El Grande Americano. I thought it was the right decision with El Grande Americano getting the win because the person behind the mask definitely deserved this. I don't think it's going to do anything for Ray to lose here in this spot. This was also a bathroom break kind of match. Unless you are interested in knowing more about the AAA signing by WWE, but the C Vicando I don't know how they pronounce it. Vikingo. Thank you. I wasn't sure how they pronounced it, but to see him on a WWE screen is still fucking crazy, if I'm being honest. But yeah, solid bathroom break match. See, Fernando agrees with me. The right person won. See, we don't always disagree.
I don't think you put Ray Phoenix in that position, in my personal opinion.
Man, Ty, nobody wants to see no damn Dragon Lee on Mania.
I want to see Dragon. I want to see Dragon Lee either. But I don't know. In my personal opinion, if I was Booker, bro, we just announced AAA, the purchase of AAA. Rey Mysterio goes
Alberto
down.
Del Rio.
Nah, bro, I go get Vikingo to jump over the barricade and fight El Grande Americano. Have El Grande Americano get in the ring and just be like, yo, this is what Mexicans do. This is what Latinos do. And he just hopped the barricade and just beat him up.
That's crazy.
That's how I would have done it.
Vince.
And that probably would have made night one the better night. But, we got what we got. So
Ray Phoenix is not Rey Mysterio just yet. He not Penta. As far as like notoriety goes, I think he's better in the ring as far as what he can do, but I think Penta has the overall package. Next, I'm gonna have Ty start with this because he was wrong about this. We have Stratton versus Flair for the women's championship. Stratton retains in a physical, which we expected. Great match.
I was half right. I was half right.
Ty said, even when I'm wrong, I'm right.
They did not have the worst match of the weekend. I'll give them that. They didn't have the worst match of all time. I give them that. However, there were too much sloppy, exactly like Fernando said, too much messy moments. But we kind of expected it. But I'm glad Stratton won. Because if Charlotte won,
there'd have been no problem. No problem.
Yeah. As a Mellow fan, there would have been no problem seeing Stratton lose. But nah, I don't know. They got to start from scratch. They got to get her a better feud and completely forget about this whole Charlotte thing.
Nah, all trolling aside, I agree though. Stratton was the right person to win. I will say this match was better than the opener.
Oh, for sure. That's what I said. I was wrong. They didn't have the worst match of the weekend, and there's a lot of matches before it that were worse. So,
yeah. But all in all, time to get to the main event, the main meal, the main course of the weekend. Rollins, Reigns, Punk, Paul Heyman. This was an A+. This was the best match of the weekend by far. If I'm being unbiased, although I love me some Fatu, but this was the best match. I've been saying it for weeks now, but those who've been watching, I was right with how the match was going to unfold and end. I just picked the wrong person. I had Punk being the one to win with this type of ending, but instead it was Seth. So, man, the double turn by Paul, he gets better with age, man. I tell you. But that match was phenomenal. It had everything you want in a WrestleMania match: the story, the near falls, the physicality, the spots, the story turn, the caliber of wrestlers, everything you want in a match, this had it. And this is probably why people have Roman Reigns in top 5 discussions all time, because of matches and stories like these. So I'll let you take it away, and then we get to night 2.
Not you glazing Roman right there.
I mean, this the tribal chief.
It was a triple threat, and you're like, yeah, that Roman Reigns guy.
Nah, okay, I can see where you got that, because I subconsciously I wasn't even trying to do that. It was just we don't hear Punk or Rollins in those conversations. Although Rollins, you can make the argument, starting to make the argument for the top 10 talk, but Roman, because of this tribal chief run, people got him top 5 almost, definitely top 10. So it's like, that's why I said in matches like these and storylines like these is why he's in these conversations now. But yeah, I didn't mean to come off as if I was glazing.
Nah, I was joking. Yeah, so it was the best match of the night, pretty much the weekend. And I was right. I knew it had to be Seth Rollins because, you can't be a chief without tribe. And he didn't even come out to congratulate his cousin on Raw, but he came out to get spared by Braun Breaker, which we'll get into, by the way. But yeah, I told you the story that they were telling didn't complete unless Seth was the one, because we've already seen Paul with Roman. The whole story is about Paul pretty much leaving Roman and joining Punk. But there's a whole third guy. And I thought it's because obviously they're trying to throw that curveball. You think they're leaving with Punk, but no. Why would he want to? Yeah, why would he want to leave with Punk? You don't go from Roman Reigns to CM Punk. No disrespect. But going from Roman Reigns to Seth Rollins, you can see that. Because their careers are linked together. And they main evented WrestleMania. Multiple time world champs. Come on. Overall, I think I will say this: Seth Rollins has the best heel gimmicks. And we are about to add another one to his list. And it brings up a good point that you just said. People got him top 10. I think Seth Rollins, from where majority of the people stopped watching wrestling. So I would say probably from 2014 to now.
Okay.
Seth Rollins has been top 3. Yeah.
And WWE or overall?
WWE. I'll take it.
He's not over his wife.
Because she's an over baby face. She's an over baby face. That's one thing he could never do.
He would never get, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but
his heel gimmicks, bro, come on, bro. All
there's
A+,
never been a time
hits.
Becky's run was like Stone Cold in the Attitude Era. Like, it was that type of an anomaly run. Like, there was never ever been a woman who can legitimately say, "Oh yeah, I'm the face of the company." Becky was that for like at least a 2.5 year period.
Yeah, because she's good as a baby face. Rollins
and also have that
sucks as a baby face.
Rollins, see, I'm putting everything in the pot. I ain't just looking at just the heel.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Rollins is a natural born heel.
Yes, I agree.
So where we see how Roman started off, they didn't want to turn Roman heel. Now he could do both. But I think Seth Rollins, his heel gimmicks, he just needs to always be a heel. And he'll be considered the greatest.
I used to agree with this point.
He is better in the ring. Stop it.
I used to agree with this point when it was a clear gap. Now I think
it's not a big gap.
Now I think now Roman kind of closed the gap a little bit.
It's not that close.
It's like this. like this.
Yeah.
It's like, before it was like you couldn't even see it, but it's like this. I will say, in ring, yeah, Seth is the better in ring worker. I'm not gonna argue that. Although I can make an argument. I ain't gonna make the argument today. We're gonna say that for another day. That might be the next episode. Talk about top 10 all time because there's a lot we could go with that. All right, speed through this because we got another show to do in about an hour or so. So we're gonna get right to night 2. I'm not gonna give no thoughts on it. I'm just gonna say not no long thoughts on the matches. I'm just gonna kind of speed through it. All right, so night 2, we had the Triple Threat Women's Championship match with Io, Bianca, and Rhea Ripley. Io retained. This to me was match of the night. I love everything they did in this match. I have to go back and watch to where Rhea got that black eye. I think it's probably at the spot at the end of the match, I assume, but all in all, great match.
Yeah, I think it was the suplex top rope. I think it was something with that. That gave her the black eye. But yeah, honestly, best match of the night. And it happened first. The only thing I wish happened was Io pinning Rhea instead of Bianca, because I would like Bianca to go into a cocky heel gimmick and be like, she should still be undefeated at WrestleMania because she ain't lost, she ain't get pinned. You know, I feel like her getting pinned is gonna be a while. They're gonna have to figure out what she does next. Yeah, exactly. I feel like Rhea should have taken the pin because now, this past Monday, it looks like Rhea's going back to the title picture. And I'm like, nah. Because if she takes the belt off of Io, I'm going to be tight.
Even if she gets another match, a title match soon, I don't think she wins. I think that's when they're going to establish the Roxanne or the Julia to kind of interfere, and that'll be like the storyline they'll tell. It sucks because they're probably not going to win against Rhea, which my fear, if I had to choose between the two, put Roxanne in that spot. Don't put Julia there for her to lose, because I think Julia can be the next big star. And now you still got Kairi Sane, who could come back into the fold, and Asuka, who's been off TV for a while. So that can be some more fillers you can do. But I agree with everything you said. The next match, we had the Sin City Street Fight with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Very entertaining match. Priest ended up losing this match against Drew McIntyre, which McIntyre had the selfie of the weekend. But I love this match. Once they gave it a stipulation, I knew this match would deliver. My favorite spot, besides the tables, was the Claymore in the corner with the chair. Priest made Drew look like a bag of money with the way he was selling these spots. Great match all in all, though.
Yeah, one of my favorite matches of the night, other than the triple threat, because both of these guys, pretty much, this feud has been a year in the making. You know, a lot of people didn't want to see this on the card, but I think they delivered, and I think it was a perfect way to end it. Keep both guys separate on different brands going forward. And yeah, both guys should be in their shows, pretty much world title scene going forward, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Next match, one of the better matches of the weekend. We had the Fatal 4-Way between Finn Balor, Braun Breaker, Penta, and Dominic Mysterio. With Dominic not only winning the IC title, he pinned Finn Balor. This was a good match. I love how they told the story at the end, because this is going to be a long-term story, I think, for the summer between Finn and Judgment Day, especially with JD coming back this past Monday. Happy to see him back on TV and healthy. But I love everything about this match. I think this is the first father-son duo to win the IC title at Mania with Ray and Dom. So I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I already knew Dom was winning. And I told you it would pretty much happen similar to where it had to do with Finn. And they're gonna tell that story. I thought they would complete the Judgment Day turn that night, but it looks like they're gonna let it play out a little more now that he's champ. But you know, I want to give Dominic Mysterio credit because last year, this point of time, I kind of really didn't like his character. But now, honestly, I'm full for him. Um, I only have one question because we've seen the pop he got after he won.
Yes.
We're seeing these pops he's getting. Do you turn him babyface?
Yes.
I know he just has that heel love, but I wonder how they can turn him babyface. Well, pretty much what Fernando's saying in the comment. You feel me? That's the only way I could see him turning babyface. But I would love them to tell that story because in the overall span of 2 years, going from the most booed person to one of the most cheered people, I think makes you a Hall of Famer already, in my personal opinion.
We ain't there yet, but
Oh,
I
hold on.
will.
He did say one thing, and I completely love this when he said it in the post interview. He said he's carrying two legacies on his back. The Mysterios and the Guerreros,
I
bro.
love that too.
So I don't know,
He's
man.
carrying it. Don't mean he Hall of Famer just yet, though.
Nah, I said if they do it right, you know. So far so good, but there's a couple more years under his belt.
Yeah, I will. I will say this. Got a long way to go as far as the Hall of Fame trajectory, but yes, definitely turn him face because now, if you want to give Finn nuclear heat, have him beat Dom and have him and JD and them turn on Dom. Well, Dom doesn't even need to be in Judgment Day. And that's the one way to do it. That means you have to have Finn win a match, and it's okay. I will hope they don't reunite Dom and Ray. I think Ray can just, relax, chill by the wayside, and retire peacefully. Um, but yeah, so that's my thought on that. Next will be the social media moment of the night, and that is Joe Hendry showing up at WrestleMania to go up against Randy Orton. Your thoughts on that, Ty?
Well, apparently people were saying his name, so he appeared. Um I mean, hey, if TNA loves it, I'm all for it. That's all I'm gonna say.
It was a great thing for TNA. Good for Joe Hendry. This tells me that not only TNA gets some rub in this moment, but Joe Hendry's going to be someone to look out for the next couple of years on the WWE roster.
Oh yeah, he's definitely joining.
So that's something that I'm excited to see. Next, we have AJ Styles and Logan Paul. This match was solid, I guess.
Nah, it's all right, bro. You don't have to save my feelings.
I'll be honest, I didn't. This is
Call
the
it what
one
it
match.
was.
This was the one match I did not watch.
Yeah, you
Beginning
didn't
to
miss
end. I
anything.
kind of caught most of it, but not all of it. The right person won. I don't think AJ needed the win. It would have been nice for AJ to get the win, but he didn't need it. But it was just another way to get AJ on the card, which he rightfully deserved to be, and another way to get Logan Paul, one of the biggest stars outside of WWE, on the card. So it did its job.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't. It was disappointing. I thought this was going to be an underrated match. This was disappointing. I think the best moment of this match was Karrion Kross coming out and offering the brass knuckles to AJ. Um, then that's how you get the whole finish. But other than that, the rest of the match, I don't know. It wasn't. This was probably one of Logan Paul's bad matches since joining. And he had some,
Probably his worst.
yeah, and he had some underrated matches before. So it goes to show you, not everyone can make wonders with each other. So, but the only thing I disagree with, I think AJ should have won realistically. I think he should have won by using the brass knuckles. Because at the end of the day, it's Logan Paul, so you're technically not turning heel. So
That's true. That is true. Fernando with a comment. AJ Styles losing to Logan trash was a disgrace. AJ needs to go to AEW. Oh no. Don't go to AEW. He better off just going to TNA and staying with WWE in the loop of things, but don't go to AEW. Next, we had the women's tag team match where we had initially had Bayley chalked in for this match, but she got attacked by Becky, it seems like, based on what happened on Monday night. Becky Lynch returns and they defeat Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the women's tag championships, which to me didn't make much sense because you could have had the heel turn on Mania as opposed to Monday night. But nonetheless, that was how the match turned out. I think it was okay. It served its purpose for the main event match, which we thought would have been much better, but it turns out to be the same, if not worse. Ty, what is your thoughts on the tag team match that we finish off the show with the main event?
yeah, so the tag team match, exactly what you said. And Fernando said, I didn't like Bayley being ruled out. And it's funny how 2 seconds when she got ruled out, when I sent it to the private chat, what was the first name I said? Becky. Because I knew it. This just seemed like this is like my only issue with WWE. They try to bring people back like kind of easy just by writing off someone else during a match and just having them return in that spot. But I just think overall it's stupid. And this is what I love, bro. This is what I'm calling her. This is what I'm calling her. You want to talk about she's the most over? That's Becky Hogan right there.
They don't even see that's nasty. Right? They don't even compare at all. Like, it's not close.
Bro, I don't know, man.
Who has Hogan
Mercedes can't go to SummerSlam. Becky comes out, defeats Bianca in 8 seconds? And people try to convince me, they're trying to tell a story.
Yeah, they did. Did she put Bianca over in the long run?
Yeah, but you still lost in 8 seconds, bro.
So okay,
and how long did it take them to tell that story, though?
But that's not a Bianca. That's not a Becky problem. That's more creative. Because even Becky said in her book she didn't even want to do an 8-second match with Bianca. She didn't want to do that. That was all creative. That's what I'm saying. The Becky Hogan shit is not comparable. The shit Hogan was doing, he wanted to do. Like WrestleMania 9. We're not going to do that. You got me over here caping for Becky Lynch like I'm her biggest fan. I'm not her biggest fan. I'm a Mercedes Moné guy, a Sasha Banks guy, but I'm gonna call a spade. It ain't close.
Well,
Becky has multiple people over. She's doing what she's doing now with Lyra to put Lyra over. Because, like I said, her character green as hell. You want to make her interesting? And
you think Lyra's going over
in the long-term storybooking? Yes.
Good luck.
I think when it comes to her and Becky, I believe the first match they have, Becky will win because she's going to be the heel. Unlike what WWE needs to do with most of their heels, they're going to do it with Becky. Becky will win the first match. But at the end of the feud and the story, Lyra's going to be one standing tall. because she did the same thing with Liv, in the sense of putting Liv over. But and again, even Becky's last championship run, she didn't even want to be there. They put her in the spot because of the injuries and everything that happened. So it was like a last second change. She was supposed to take time off at that time. Let's also remember that. So that's why I can't say she's Hulk Hogan. That's nasty. Fernando said Chelsea Green deserved to be at Mania as a U.S. Women's Champ. No excuse for Mania being 2 nights. Oh, there is an excuse. And the excuse is they don't care about the mid-card titles.
unless you're Becky Hogan, that's how they're gonna put the IC belt on Mania.
The Bird Lady is crazy.
Yo, she is the Bird Lady, bro.
But they don't care about them the mid-card titles because they didn't want them to begin with.
Yeah, but they're gonna care about it when they give it to Becky.
And I'm about to say, you know why? Because it's who?
Because it's Becky Hogan, bro.
Becky
Any
Lynch.
belt
If anyone's gonna make
Hogan touched,
anyone's gonna make the title credible, it will be her. The same, even I wish they would have done this with both titles, where you put someone that's established with the title first to kind of build up the prestige. Although Chelsea Green's been doing a great job with the belt, although despite the limited amount of time she's been given as far as TV time for the belt, she's doing great with it. But all in all, yeah, I think this is going to do wonders for Lyra and that mid-card title because people care about the title. Whether y'all call her Becky Hogan or not, which I disagree with, people are going to tune in when you see Becky Lynch on TV.
I'm just saying. Becky said she was waiting for the right creative moment to come back. I'm just saying, how is stealing pretty much Bailey's spot the best creative?
Now
she
again,
should have came back during one of those tournaments for the IC or US title. Hell, she could have even came back Royal Rumble.
But then that would have made no sense either, because where do you go from there, story-wise, for her for Mania? And again, I don't think her coming back now was a bad thing. I just think the domino effect was it hurt Bailey, which I don't think she intended for that to happen. Again, that's more of a creative thing. Because in all, by all means, you could have had a story where Bailey was in this match and it not hurt, and Becky comes out, or whatever you want to do, and it doesn't hurt Bailey. But on a bigger note, because I don't know why we figuring this part, Bailey and Lyra should never been in the fucking match in the first place. Like we just gonna gloss over that. They should never been there. You put them in a tag team that didn't make sense anyway. If we're gonna keep it a buck, it should never.
That's
been
why
them.
it didn't make sense, because it was a way to get Becky on the card.
So there you have it. So it made sense.
It didn't.
We got to find a way to put Becky on there and have her feud with Lyra. Hell, let's put her and Bailey in the tag team. That don't make sense, but it makes sense for what we can have Bailey get attacked. Like they try to make.
But did you really need the 1 day tag title reign?
No, they didn't. But that's what I'm saying. They tried to make two things that don't make sense. Which I agree with you guys. But we're gonna move right along, and then we're gonna wrap up the show. The main event: Cody Rhodes, John Cena.
Terrible.
I just like the ending that it makes. You had Travis Scott come out to the ring as if he was in WWE 2K25 and 24 when they have interferences, have people just stand on the stage for like 5 minutes and then just casually walk down the ramp. The bigger issue was no Rock, which again, I get you wouldn't have Cena have his moment and become the most winning champion. But this story doesn't get told without The Rock. That was the point. Sell your soul. Like, The Rock should have been there. And I don't know if there's something going on behind the scenes with TKO and creative with The Rock and Triple H or Paul, if you want to call him by his government name. But all in all, the match was mid. Very, very mid. That's all I got to say for that match. And then the last thing we're gonna talk about once you give your thoughts is who's next for this faction that happened on Monday night. So
that main event was good for the first 10 minutes. Then it just got terrible out of nowhere. I thought the finish was weak. And for someone's record breaking 17th world title, they made it flatter than soda that's been sitting outside for a week. That was just terrible.
This a low blow.
And they
And
low key, in my opinion, they probably were better off switching the the main events because that triple threat felt like a real night two main event where you're pretty much, oh, I'm waiting for Raw. I'm waiting for Raw. I'm gonna see what's happening next. After Cena won, it was really nothing to it. Um, I I understand Travis Scott being there, but I don't understand Travis Scott being there and there's no Rock.
that's what I was about to
They
say to
both
this
should have
comment.
been there.
The Rock, I hear you when you say The Rock needs to stay away from creative plans, Fernando, but at the same time, the reason why WrestleMania 40 and this year's WrestleMania was so intriguing when it comes to these creative plans with this said matches was because The Rock was in it. The Rock saved last year's Mania with the story that was told with Mama Rhodes and everything. That's what made it interesting. This year, the reason why people were so up for the Cody and Cena was because of The Rock. The Rock, sell your soul, Cody. No, I'm not selling my soul. So screw off. Okay, so now I'm gonna have Cena sell his soul. That's why, as far as this story goes, he was necessary. You're right. Travis Scott ain't no Dennis Rodman. He's not. But I'm also gonna give the benefit of the doubt until I actually see him get in the ring and actually do a match, which I think he will this year. And it's gonna be crazy because it's gonna be him and Cody. And the reason I'm gonna hold off and wait to see him in the actual match because I felt the same way about Bad Bunny. And then when I seen him actually go out there and perform, I was like, oh, okay, he actually cares. He's putting in the work. All right, I'm invested now. So until then, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Although he looks cringe as hell on TV, I'm not gonna lie. He looks so cringe. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on that. Fernando said Jeff Cobb is going to be the next member and will serve as a heater for Cena. We'll see. We'll see. I'm interested to see how that turns out come Friday night. If Cena's there Friday, I don't think he will be, but I could be wrong. Last but not least, before we wrap up, because we got to get ready for the football show in about 45 minutes. Monday night, we had the faction. Braun Breaker joins Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. They take out CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Braun looks like a badass in the next big thing, no pun intended, with how he was introduced into this faction. That motherfucker got to be strong as hell to take off that sweater the way he did, by the way.
One motion.
From
He
the
did not
sleeve.
move one motion. Whole thing was off.
And the thing is, the reason why I say that, because it wasn't like a hoodie, a regular hoodie like I got on. His was a zip up.
Yeah, zip up too, bro.
No, he could have just scratched, man. Reason why he the dog. So Ty, I'll let you hear your thoughts on who you think should join. Fernando believes it should be Trick Williams. He's been on this all show. I disagree. I don't see what Trick kind of fits in, to be honest, into this whole realm. But it'll be a nice rub for him for sure. I think he'll benefit a lot from it. I just don't see him being in that. Because I think the next person they add, if they do add somebody else, him and Braun's gonna be the guys that's gonna carry the company next. I think this is where we see the evolution kind of play a card in it. So, Ty, who would you think should be in this spot?
Personally, me, I think. Well, you pretty much got your star and your future. I would like to see Paul Heyman working with the tag team. And I think we talked about them earlier. I think Fraximum should be that team, given the history with Nathan Frazier and Seth Rollins.
I agree.
I think it's perfect, and I think to really show that they're serious, I think that's when Axum's taking the mask off. He's gonna wrestle with no mask because
And that's where I was gonna go with.
they're here to really do what they do. Now, if they don't want to add a tag team, that's fine. I wouldn't mind to see Frazier by himself, even though I think Fraction just needs to be a tag team because that was one of the greatest things. I think personally, I think Carmelo Hayes. I think
Go ahead, you
Carmelo
talking my
Hayes
talk now.
fits this. Because if I'm Seth Rollins, everyone's talking about evolution, blah, 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 whatever. What if Seth Rollins just wanted to build a Shield 2.0?
Well, in that case,
Braun's his Roman. He needs a Mox. He needs an Ambrose.
well, in that case, then you get Trick Williams.
Trick can. I think Trick Mello. It has to be somebody young, especially because it's just the only way it works right. And I think no matter who they put is gonna work because we've seen Seth Rollins fractions work all the time. You know, Monday Night Messiah with Buddy Matthews, fire. You know,
you just gave me some ideas. So Fraction was also my pick, and having Axiom take off the mask like he was when he was a kid. Now this is a stretch, but because we mentioned tag teams, a tag team I would like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing them. You can kind of give them a little bit of a character change in a bit. Pretty Deadly. I think Pretty Deadly can benefit a lot being more of a serious heel team, tag team. They'll be kind of good to fit that mold. Change up their character work a little bit. That might do a lot of wonders for them. I don't see that happening by all means. I like the character work they're doing now, but that's someone I looked at. Tag team, you could put Trick and Mello together, sure. But if I wanted to really, and I wish because Cliff's going to let us answer, and I just thought about him. So if you wanted to go kind of like the Shield route that you mentioned, and only want one person, you want, and then when I say this name, you won't have to rush to add him just yet because he's already going to be in the storyline right now. But Dominic.
well, not if he's going babyface.
But that's what I'm saying.
Unless the Judgment Day turns on him and Judgment Day goes babyface.
And which wouldn't make sense, but Dominic was someone I'm thinking about names that could really benefit. So like that's why I mentioned the Pretty Deadly. Dominic Mysterio. I wanted to say JD McDonough. I really wanted to say him because I think he's underrated, heavily underrated. But I don't think they're gonna really do. I don't think they're looking at him as that. So,
they need somebody to eat the pins, right?
I'm tired of you being disrespectful to my guys, man. That's crazy. On that note, man, if you made it this far, we appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on the show. Who you think should be the next Paul Heyman guy in this faction? We are pulling off a double header for you guys, man, because we appreciate all the love and support you guys show. So we'll be back in about 35, 45 minutes. We're going to do the final NFL mock draft for you guys before the actual draft tomorrow. That episode won't be too long. We're going to just jump right into the mock draft and kind of give our thoughts of where things will go as the final mock draft. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Keep that noty bells on. We appreciate you guys again. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys in about 45 minutes. Peace.
Peace.